So we've been discussing the top 6,000 teams, and last week we spoke about how to beat the top three. Can they be beat? And we've got Andrew in number 2 right now, which is super exciting. Now, let's get out from 6,000 upwards and help some of the teams that are struggling a little bit more or could use that little bit more guidance here. So we'll start with Terry in here, the Wex off. So in his squad here, what we want to be looking for right now is one, getting through the next 2 weeks well, but then building to a really strong side. And when you look at teams down here, you don't notice too much out of the ordinary. You know, sitting here with Cook and Tavanga up top. We've got Teddy down there, who's a bye this week. We've got Payne Haas still. Has sold Cleary in this one, so he's a guy that we want to look to target. If we're looking at positionally, still got Jackson Purdue there to cover at centre. Had Lawson for that as well. Is well covered in halves with King Tonga, Fainu there. Has Campbell. So when you look at it, it's a fairly well balanced side. What you can imagine has happened with teams like this at 6,800 is just the timing of certain players. And that's what the big document I do at the end of the year. It's following the top 10 for one, how they got there and how you can get there yourself, but also all the different guys that, I've actually had a fair few people sign up for the private crew this week. As I mentioned, if you join this week, you'll be able to get, if you join next year as well, you'll be able to get a review on your 2025 team. And that's where we'll learn a lot more from players like Terry in this situation at 6,800 and how to improve. Now, the focus is going to be, as I said, getting through the next couple of weeks to then build. And when you've got Fainu and King Tonga as the 2 cheapies in the side, there is a little bit, and Lawson, sorry, there's probably room for one more guy that's a weekly playing player that's sort of 400 or below. So that's where looking at a Turbo or something like that could work for this week. At Jack Bird, if he plays, apparently there's a bit of a rumor going around about Bird in, is he going to play or not? So different things like that, and then looking at the type of players that you're going to want in your final team. So Cleary's going to be one of them. It might be a Latrell down in wing fullback. It could be replacing Couchman with a Preston or Katoa. Could be a really fun one this week as well. Given does need an edge this week, so that could be a good option to look at to get another gun in the side. Sitting there with Foggs and Hines is fine until later on, so at least having a Cleary or a Katoa will work well there. Has Farnworth, he has Lucas, he has Garrett, Carraz, Pap, Teddy, so there's lots of good things in there, but just building, especially for guys that can cover the next 2 weeks and not knowing how many trades these people have, that's where I'd be looking at improving on sides like this. Now let's look at the White Zombies in Jamie, because we're going to look at other Jamie teams for sure and help them out. At 974 last week, a really nice score. Just under 8,000 is the rank, and has Preston, has Cleary there, has Payne Haas still, so that's good news on that front. Looking down at the bench here, this is where we see a few problems. So Victor Radley, Savelio Tamale, Hubner, as 3 guys that you don't really want to be having at this stage. You got Katonga in there, who did score well on the weekend, so he's not a clear problem, but it's just fixing up the little mid-range guys that we've got here, and trades might be a problem as to why these guys have been held, but with Radley, concussion issues, I think he's worthy of a sell. Picked up Brayley, and he did a great job there, but guys like Hubner, Radley, and Tamale, we're in a situation here where he doesn't have any clear cheapies, so I think going down to a couple of those cheaper guys to be able to use the cash of Radley and what you've got in the bank to be able to upgrade would be a very smart way to go about it this week. You can see there a few of these guys can help out. Savala, Turbo, Hubner might be just worthy of a hold this week to help out in this situation, and using a few trades, or if you're really low and have used the trades, to have those guys as the clear standout sells. And when I talk about cheapies, pretty much want all of you guys to be playing on a week-to-week basis, just because it's only 21 players. Like, it's going to be hard to have any type of cash outs. And in this scenario, when he has no cheap players under 400k, building probably 2 of those guys that are playing on a week-to-week, it's the Birds, Jed Stewart, these type of guys that are actually playing. It's not going to help you too much, but there might be a week that are, it's beneficial to play them, like this one, where they can do a decent job for your side. So that's my thoughts there for you, Mr. Jamie. All right, let's go to Mr. DeLacy, Willicious. So 957 from him, just inside the top 10k. And in this side, there's a few guns in there. Katoa, Farnworth, got Karaz, got Jed Stewart in there, Tedesco, Campbell. So in terms of the bench, Tavanga, Fainu, Aitken hasn't performed super well. Had Duncan. So again, you look at this side and you're like, generally it's pretty solid overall. Just timing and everything else in between for these type of sides, because it's not the side's has no crazy difference compared to a few others. Has sold Haas, still has Cleary, has Aaron Clark. Again, just depends when you buy certain guys. Like if you bought Clark right at this high price, you've missed out on a few of the good scores, and you're not able to buy them that bit cheaper and then utilize that cash in other directions. But had Duncan this week, so overall is in a good spot. But when you're looking at green dots, are all on the bench, which is, that's fine. You can put them all on the starting side. Tedesco will help out with Karaz. Aitken can help up in edge. So with Couch just being a clear one in terms of guys you can buy. It's all fairly clear with teams like this. There's no real craziness to fix up. So very similar advice to what we had for our first guy. We'll just continue to try and find things that are a little bit all over the shop, I think will be the best way to go about it. We've got Katie here at 11,835. With her side, the big starting side looks pretty strong. Has had Robson, who has kind of been a little bit average for a lot of the year. Had some decent scores, like last week with 55. Hughes came good with an 80 last week. We've got Ponga and Walsh, so buying Ponga at the wrong time. In terms of the bench, it's looking pretty solid. Starling's done a good job all year. Purdue, the guy that's hurt a little bit in recent history, but for the most part, it's a similar team to most. Got Horsburgh with his 69, just the captaincy of Kolomatangi, and just going for these type of pod plays is going to be the detriment to a few teams. I actually saw a few last week that did captain Kolomatangi, and when you've got a guy that's averaging 77 and doesn't get injured and all this good stuff, like the really good score from these guys like Kolomatangi, he's had a few of them this year of 80. But May just does it on a weekly basis and doesn't need attacking stats to get 76. And we know that he's going to play big minutes and always be involved. So that's just some chat around that. Knowing that guys like Walsh were a decent chance of being either fullback or 18th man, apparently. Karaz, we thought there was less chance, but wasn't to me on that one. So just making the more percentage play, I think, is going to be helpful in these types of teams there. When you're in this spot, if you can manage 13 each of the next 2 weeks, if you have a few trades available, you'll be able to beat others who have 11 or 12. And when you're in this position here, down at 10k, 11k, that type of thing, it's a situation where you can make ranks fairly quickly just from being that little bit better or the same. Let's just say you score the same as guys in the top 1,000 from this point onwards, just by you're getting things right. You've saved some trades or whatever it is, and you've made the right calls. If you score the same as them, they might hold rank, but you might be gaining 1,000 every week because you're beating your counterparts at your ranking. Let's go look to the Frosty Mangoes with Jared at 13,000. So we have Nickera. There's a bit of a difference maker there. On the bench, Jenkins been pretty good. Hubner, Lawson. So a few of those type of guys, but again, generally a situation where you're looking at a team that is generally good and has some guys that haven't performed super well, like Aiken, like Drinky in recent time. Definitely maybe didn't play Jenkins for the big weeks. Like that kind of thing can be detrimental to you. But the rest of the guys in the squad are, Hines, having him, it's been a bit off. But the rest of the guys are pretty good. So again, timing, when you get the guys and who you play on your bench, all these things are such a factor. To look at these teams and go, they're not too far off where my team's at. Like, it's one of those things. All right, let's have a quick look at Junior's team with the JB Plus private group logo. Good man. 14,309 for him. And I know he does like a bit of a pod, but Kaipius Paul had been performing super well. Still has Brimson, has Pap, who's been up and down. And again, if you buy Pap after the 100, it hasn't been great. Having Walsh, buying him back, all those types of things are a bit annoying. Jackson Purdue's been tough. Got Pacifica Tonga, got Sandon Smith still. King Tonga's been good. Has Jacob Little. So just those types of moves there, which are a little less percentage plays. Holding on to Sanders Smith, there wasn't going to be a lot of benefit in that one. Little, you're buying a bench hooker and hoping that Damien Cook's not there, and Little has to do so well in the limited time, and he's done so well to stay at 550k, to be honest with you there. Pacifica Tonga was a cash down option, but I suppose it's similar to like Jed Stewart and stuff, might have helped you in 1 week, like Hopoi, those types of guys, so it was fine at the time, but right now it doesn't help. And then Jackson Purdue and the like, but got Adam Finkel-Blake that is performing well, but when you look at guys like Brimson, the upside doesn't seem to be there. He has a very decent chance of going low, and the percentage of getting the Reece Walsh one correctly is a little bit harder. But just some simple ways is just continuing to play the percentage play. Yes, you can go for pods and different things like that at this time of the season, but I think that if you just you keep it simple all year. We're looking to make the correct move at each checkpoint in the game, and if you can do that, you will progress. And if you get a little bit of momentum from making correct moves, multiple in a row, you start to build your ranking. And once you make that correct move, that person goes up in value, things happen in the right direction for that, and you can continue to move forward to the next level of team value, and using your trades correctly to build the points, and then your rank improves. It's a simple formula, very, very hard to do. As you can tell, it's hard to go back to back, top thousands every year. I'm trying to do, I think 3 or 4 in a row now that haven't missed out. I think before that was like 1,500 and 1,800 and stuff like that. But the last 3 years I've had a bit more of a simple system, and luck's going to be part of it. But if you continue just to make the correct moves, you should do okay. All right, so Geordie Hardcastle, one of our, where is he? There he is. Liam's Martinis, one of our VIPs. Might be the second team. You're allowed 2 squads in the to go into our competitions, not the overall competition, just to our individual private group competition. So this, I think, is second team for Geordie. So we'll help him out here. But 929 probably is a position where he's going for a few of the odd different plays. But Bailey Haywood's in there. Sorensen. Don't know if you bought him for the good score the other week. Justavonga, Heath Mason. So just going for a few of the alternative guys, but the rest of the team, you can see there at 15,000 is not too dissimilar to most, but just the timing, that's the big thing that's going to hurt you in there. All right. Oh, there's my brother, the fruit bat. All right. Tenny, we got in here at 15,782. Seyfarth, stuck with him the whole time. Metcalf's done well. Got Yongi, got Latrell Mitchell at the moment. Nongani Tawaze. So, generally a pretty good squad as well. Again, just the timing. A few things you can do in here, but really it's just going to be fixing up the injury. So Metcalf will leave this side. The rest, you're looking at some mid-rangers like Seyfarth that can be ready to move on. You can move them on fairly soon. Justavonga next week. Yongi this week. So there's a few of those mid-range guys that are ready to move on, and that's the way I'd play it this week. Go down to a cheapie, go up to a gun in the position you need. Although, is Seyfarth worth a hold this week? Probably yes. So it could be Yongi that is the guy along with Metcalf, and then moving on from a Seyfarth or those type of guys in the following weeks. I also got Johnny B. So guys like Riley Smith, Harry Hayes was an interesting one as a selection, but has done well with the alternative ones like Duncan, like keeping Jenkins. Did pick Herbie Farnworth as the captaincy this week, just gone, so that was interesting, but has Kurt Donahue, who is flying at under 600k. So he's making, to have Duncan, to have Donahue, has clearly taken these mid-range guys a lot of the year, and sometimes it hasn't worked, and in this case, it really did, and I think that Johnny can build on that over the next little bit, which will be good fun. So let's go a little bit lower now. Oh, the Fizzy Rascals, another boy, Callum, who was there at the meetup on the weekend. Poor fella's in 21,000. I know he keeps claiming that it's just because he's a head-to-head player, but I think he had a really good one a year or two ago. But now he just claims that if he's ranked low, it's because he's a head-to-head player. Did have Duncan though, so it was frustrating. Exciting for him, frustrating for myself watching with him and a few other guys that did have Duncan. Yeah, so situations like this where he's managed to hold Watson through this whole time because he feels like he's an end-season keeper. And a lot of people will probably buy him over the next few weeks, but that kind of situation there can be a tough one to get through the whole bye period and actually rank well. So yeah, in terms of a head-to-head team, let's just look at the guns, because that's all that matters here. And let's just say everyone was fit and available. Hooker, 3 mids, both edges. I'd say Hughes definitely keeper. So both halves, both centres. In fun with Lucas. Wing fullback, you got Campbell, Drinky. And then on his bench, Duncan's probably a keeper now. Both Fermor, Watson, Teddy. So that's the only problem with head-to-head, if you're looking for overall gains sometimes, that you've got all these keepers that you're probably not going to sell right in this, in certain weeks, because you're like, well, I've got them as guns and I don't want to sell them. So you end up kind of just limping through weeks with guys on bye and all that kind of stuff. Like how many of these Origin guys that you can hold that are on bye with Isaiah Yeo, with Haas there, with Cleary, and that's what kind of hurts you in the ranking. So yes, you'll save more trades, but the ranking will unfortunately suffer. All right, then the Sydney Blue Sox, will finish with this one for today. Who's also in the VIPs. 896. Doesn't need to list them all though, Johnny. Come on. 22,000, my big fella. You got this. You got this. We'll improve from here. The guys like Hamish Stewart in the mid-range. Has Puru, who's had for a while. Tamale, Riley Smith. I wonder if he's stopped playing. But yeah, a few things just to clean up here. Stafford Toa in that mid-range, like, we'll do okay. But you can see a lot of those guys. Stafford Toa, he's got Yongi, Jenkins, Riley Smith, Tamale. Rob Toya still is held the whole time to go along with guys like Hamish Stewart. So just cleaning up in that mid-range is where you'd go with these types of plays. And I think we leave it there. So if you're sitting somewhere in the 6 to 22,000 ranks, you can see there a lot of the teams very similar to top teams there. Team value may be slightly down, but overall, yeah, you've got someone might have a slightly better gun than yours of like a Hosking or something like that. But Hosking and these guys can have good scores along the way. So really, you're in a situation where if you just make those correct moves from here, don't worry about where you're at. If you just one step in front of the other, make the correct call rather than trying to chase, is the best way. The best way to chase is to make the next correct move. We'll leave it there, guys. Hope that helps you out, and we'll get my trade video out for tomorrow, which we're trying to work it out. Always trying to work it out. See you guys.